Hi! Welcome to another episode of TFT HyperRoll from Mission for Tuition. Why is it called Mission for Tuition, you ask? Funny story. We are trying to raise money for our son's middle and high school tuition. He has to go to an extremely expensive special school, and we make some money for tuition from ad revenue. We don't ask for donations. We don't have a link or anything like that, but if you could put a like on the video, subscribe, comment, do that good stuff that helps with the algorithm. It helps the video get out to more people, and that way it gets more views and makes more money for tuition. And with that said, let's get started. I've actually been trying to put this comp together for a while in a HyperRoll video, but it has been really hard. It seems to work well in ranked, where you can plan out your econ a lot better, but in HyperRoll, you are left praying to the RNG gods. Since I got a Riven out of the NPC round, I was going to give this a try. One of the important items for Kalista in this is the Hand of Justice. Kalista is an excellent item holder for pretty much all of your possible carries, such as Kayle, Draven, Yasuo, or Riven. It really depends on how many of each champion you get. One of the early issues I found with Legionnaire is the frontline. In this case, I brought in a Kha'Zix just to give Riven a little extra healing in the hope that she could hold up a little bit longer. Unfortunately, I ran into a team that already had 2 Legionnaire and a 2-star Leona as well, so it was able to overwhelm me at this point. In round 2, I had 2-starred the Kalista and decided to put out a Knight just to be a little bit more tanky in the front line and hope that it could hold everything up. Unfortunately, it didn't again go as planned. So stage 4 is where this can really start coming together. I grabbed the Sparring Glove over the Neeko's Help because Last Whisperer is going to be an absolute key item because you're going to want to do damage to their armor in order to get through. It also gives me a chance to put out a second Knight to allow blocking damage across the entire team. This gives Kalista a lot more time to power up and to do more damage. You can see how effective it is as she's able to pick off targets one by one with her ult and ultimately get through a Renewer team that I likely thought would have won. Now in this fight, you can see how effective that Last Whisperer is. Every time Kalista's hitting someone, you can see the little broken armor symbol appearing above them. That means that their armor is being reduced. So this otherwise really tanky team is not that tanky, and we're able to get through them. You can see here we take out the Poppy, followed by the Kled, and then the Poppy again because, well, that's Hellions and that's what they do. So I was really hoping for a Zenith Edge, but the Rapid Light Cannon will do well, at least on Riven, because then she can step back and not necessarily get right into people's faces. Now, I want to show the difference between this game and the last game I played. If you remember, in that game I held off on using Neeko's helps as long as possible because of the position my team was in. In this case, I'm going to do the opposite. I have the opportunity to get up to a gold Kalista, and even though I still have a good shot of rolling for more later, I decide to go for it now. The reason is that Legionnaires just are not that strong in the mid game. You need to get to 4 or 6 in order to start seeing it power up. So I need the gold Kalista to be able to do a ton of damage, and you will see, bang, it works right there. As we get into stage 6, we're able to put out that next Legionnaire, and as you can see, that's going to be key. That's a huge jump from 25 to 75 increased attack speed and an additional 5% healing. That's going to mean a big difference going forward. Unfortunately, even with the 2-Knight buff, your Legionnaires are still pretty squishy. Unless you happen to have gotten a Yasuo and you're using full Nightbringer, it's pretty easy to take them down, especially from a Ziggs that's built like that and is constantly building power. I get the chance to pick up a Draven, and I'm definitely going to put him in because he is an improvement over Yasuo, who is not really serving much purpose at this time. He's not strong enough to really do enough damage, and not tanky enough, obviously, to really absorb anything. I'm looking for Riven to really be able to hold that front line together, and Kalista to be able to do all the damage from the back. I also didn't worry so much about holding rolls in this case because Kalista is going to be my carry. At gold 3-star, she is strong enough. I just need the last item to cement it, which will be the Infinity Edge. But even without it, she's able to get through this team. Unfortunately, it appears my friend at Riot was not paying attention and decided not to give me the infinity edge that I ultimately needed, as there was no sparring glove to be found, so I have to make do with what I have. I decide to replace Poppy with Leona, give her the Warmogs and the Sunfire Cape. The long-term goal is to switch Leona out for Garen if and when I find him. I decide to give Kalista the Bloodthirster as the next best item that I have access to. I just want her to be fully stacked. Bloodthirster will allow her to heal if she gets low, and it will give her a shield when her health falls too low, which will enable her to heal back up. It works pretty well in this fight, as she's able to do enough damage, keep herself healed, and finish them off. We 2-star our Yasuo and then go hunting for more champs, but while we're doing that, I just want to explain with the items on Kalista. I would have much rather had an Infinity Edge, because that would have guaranteed that Last Whisperer procced every single time. Now it's just a chance. It's a good chance because she has a high crit rate, but it's not guaranteed to shred an enemy's armor, so it might take her a little bit longer to get through someone. With a Garen now in place instead of Leona, we have a much stronger front line thanks to the Dawnbringer and Knight buff. And while originally, if I hadn't gotten Garen, I probably would have tried to go 4 Knights, 4 Legionnaire. Now I can go to 2 Knights and 6 Legionnaire, which will make the backline that much stronger and enable me to really set up for a win instead of just a top 4. But that's not a change you want to make immediately. Oftentimes, it's better to stay with the 4 Knights, 4 Legionnaire until you absolutely need it or you have the right power. Just having a 1-star Draven and a 1-star Kayle sitting in the back is not necessarily going to do it, so we want to keep the front line as tanky as possible for now, while we continue to look for the Draven 2 and the Kayle 2 that will help really pull this team together. Garen is strong, but not strong enough to keep this team off of us with that incredibly strong karma behind them. Our Golden Globe of Happiness is pretty good, gives us some money and a couple of items, although nothing really too exciting at this time. But we are able to get a 2-star Irelia and have ourselves set up to start moving over to those additional Legionnaires and less Knights, in the hopes that that will really give us the punch that we need. Now we have the 2-star Draven and we're ready to go. Add a little extra tankiness with the Ionic Spark onto Nautilus up front, and then we can watch and see how effective the backline will be as long as the front line's able to hold them. Irelia's also pretty tanky, so it was key to have her up to 2 stars to make the swap over to the additional Legionnaire instead of Knights. And with that victory, we are into the top 4. And hoping to set up for a win condition. We bring in Gwen to add a little bit of extra damage reduction to our front line to try to keep them strong. And also it's time to roll down and really fill this team in. We're looking for the additional Kales, we're looking for the additional Gwen, anything that can give us more power in the front line. 1 Kayle, do we have another out there? It's time to sell anything you don't need now, because we're now committed into exactly what we're doing, and the 2-star Kayle should give us the room we need. Put the Hand of Justice onto Kayle. We're not switching items over from Kalista since she's at 3 stars, and that's pretty much as good as it's going to get for her. This team had moved back, which was very smart because it pulled my team out of Gwen's circle, but as you can see at 6 Legionnaires, this is just too strong for them. We roll to find the 2-star Gwen that we really need, and then check in and see. They have a 2-star Garen up front, but that's actually going to be good for us because it's going to allow our people to stay inside Gwen's circle, which is going to help with damage reduction. I do move everyone over because I don't want Garen's ult to just take a large portion of my team out. And also notice that I left an Hex in between my front line and my back line. That's because that karma with the Rabadon's Fist of Fairness and blue buff is going to be able to take out clumps of people, so I don't want everyone too close. Luckily, it works out, and Kalista does exactly what she's supposed to do and wins the match for us, and it's GG. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video and have an absolutely awesome day.